When I started looking at BT22 discussion predictions, I really wanted to start the entire video series with Nokia Shinomiya and Omnimon support. But I can also understand why Bandai released some BT22 support cards for the fact that they were going to mesh with the new Alter S and Adventure Alterus and Sagittarius modes, which is ultimately why the conversation started with DIGI-PANDA. Remember, if you haven't checked out my merch yet, pre-orders are now live for the Party Wrecker sleeves, and in addition to today's video, the Cobalt Impulse sleeves. I'm really excited for these releases, and I hope you are too. Today's discussion looks at the history of UlforceVeedramon and where it could go. With a lot of fun comparisons to other cards for the newer support cards, we are still missing an aeroveedramon, UlforceVeedramon, and Rina Shinomiya to tie the whole package together. Briefly, BT22 has already revealed the veemon and veedramon as support cards for the set in July. Veemon returns as the cost reducer into a Digimon with veedramon in its name by 1 memory. Which is why with this reveal, I assumed Caramon would be the same. The inheritable for this Digimon prevents the stack from leaving the battlefield by suspending this Digimon. Move aside, Evade. The new and improved immunity for blue is here. Veedramon likewise shares the same inheritable and has a when digivolving effect where if you have 1 or fewer tamers, you may play 1 tamer card with Veedramon and its texture in your hand without paying the cost. Again, pretty nice to set up your tamers early. But with these 2 pieces, where can the deck go? To understand this, we have to go all the way back to BT11 when UlforceVeedramon was more commonly played. In those days, you utilized one of the only Veemons that could add a blue tamer and a Digimon with Veedramon in its name. You also had a Veedramon that when you played a blue tamer, you drew a card. But one avenue that was interesting about this was it was one of the first few engines that could gain memory when a blue tamer was played. Because ultimately, as you climbed up the chain into aeroveedramon, this Digimon could suspend itself to reveal the top 3 cards, add all blue tamers, and then bottom deck the rest. But ultimately, the UlforceVeedramon would be the boss monster for this deck that would ultimately be on par with even powerful OTK blue decks like Metal Garurumon. When digivolving, you may play 1 blue tamer card from your hand without paying the cost. Okay, seems fine. Your turn, when you play a blue tamer, unsuspend this Digimon. Oh. Okay, so you could attack with aeroveedramon then unsuspend after you digivolve. I get it. Also your turn once per turn, when this Digimon becomes unsuspended, return 1 of your opponent's level 3 or lower Digimon to its owner's hand. For every blue tamer you have in play, add 1 to the maximum level of the Digimon you can choose with this effect. Removal. Alright, still fine. Ultimately, UlforceVeedramon wasn't the problem. It was the tamer. Largely, Ulforce has been gatekept by the fact that Rina Shinomiya was a secret rare from this set. And of course, you have to play 4. This 3-cost tamer has an on-play effect, in which until the end of your turn, 1 of your Digimon with Veemon or Veedramon in its name gains blocker and evade. Not bad. All turns, when 1 of your Digimon with Veedramon in its name becomes suspended, by suspending this tamer, activate 1 of that Digimon's when digivolving effect. For its last effect, it has a your turn effect, where once per turn when 1 of your blue Digimon becomes unsuspended, you gain 1 memory. The all turns effect is honestly what made Ulforce the powerhouse it was, because when you attack into security, you can use Rina Shinomiya to activate Ulforce's ability to play a tamer. But when you play a blue tamer, because this card isn't a conditional once per turn, means you can unsuspend as long as you have a tamer to play. This is why utilizing V-Tamer Tide Camille was important, because you could draw a card with Digimon like UlforceVeedramon in play to maybe nab additional tamers. With each sequential Rina Shinomiya being played, this meant you'd unsuspend and do it again. Now with this concept in mind, what are some predictions or tools I think Bandai will bring to Ulforce next? And let's discuss this for the conclusion of the video. Naturally from Veedramon, this Digimon will have to go into aeroveedramon. And this card took some inspiration from the D-Brigade line Cargodramon. aeroveedramon would be, in my mind, a 7-cost Holy Dragon CS trait Digimon with 7000 DP. And while its stat line is low, it more than makes up for it with its natural blue ability, Jamming. This Digimon would also have a when attacking, reveal the top 3 cards of the deck, and play 1 blue tamer among them. Place the remaining cards to the bottom of the deck in any order. While not an exact 1-for-1 for Cargodramon, the theme here was to filter the deck and find blue tamers. And here it combines that aggro discussion we've been on point about into setting up everything as quickly as possible. But the inheritable? Similarly, when 1 of your blue tamers is suspended, you reveal the top 3 cards of the deck. You may play 1 blue tamer among them without paying the cost, and then you place the rest on the bottom. Whether this should be a hard once per turn effect or not my problem. as this is again simply theory crafting. Overall, you can see the comparisons I made with Cargodramon, but mainly replacing the Commandramon part with blue tamers. But in doing so, this allows you to cycle the top even if you don't have a tamer in play for your old Ulforce, which is honestly pretty sweet. With the new UlforceVeedramon, I debated on whether I wanted to make it a Blast Digivolution Digimon, but also didn't in the end because this Digimon doesn't have any controlling aspects in a reactionary situation. Instead, it's all gas. Currently, like all aggro decks, it would digivolve from a blue level 5 Digimon, or a level 5 Digimon with CS in its traits. When digivolving, you may play one blue tamer card from your hand without paying the cost. Your turn! When one of your blue tamers is suspended, this Digimon is unaffected by your opponent's Digimon effects until the end of the turn, and may unsuspend. This moves away from the conventional unsuspend of the previous Ulforce, but ultimately gets there the same way. The only caveat is, your blue tamers must suspend. Because of its immunity, this is ultimately why I didn't give it any removal effects. And of course, to close out this episode, I'm going to do a prediction on the new Rina Shinomiya. The new Rina Shinomiya in my mind has to be a memory fixer. No question about that with the appearance of Nokia Shiromine. In older sets, the trends have always made the tamers almost always the same. All memory fixers, all one memory gainers, or all dual character tamers. It's just been a pattern. And while true, some sets don't necessarily follow this trend, can we really say no to a Rina memory fixer? This Rina would have an all-turns effect, that when this tamer becomes suspended, one of your Digimon with Veedramon in its name may unsuspend. Then if you have a Digimon with the CS trait or Veedramon in its name, you gain 1 memory. For 2 lines of thought here, this provides your lower level Digimon the ability to unsuspend. And of course the memory tricks can potentially steal turn, in the case your opponent decides to Quartzmon. But because this tamer also attacked a Digimon, this is where I decided to throw a curveball with some lore from the games, and give her a Marcus Damon-esque effect. That's right. On play, one of your Rina Shinomiya becomes a 3000 DP Digimon that can't digivolve, and gains Rush until the end of the turn. Meaning now you have abilities to close out games even faster, and reliably focus less on the super top-end Digimon to end it. All in all, these are just concepts and are not official cards. But if you're an UlforceVeedramon player, is this the kind of support you're looking for? Or do you want a completely different direction? Let me know, and I'll catch up with all of you on more Digimon content next week. This is DIGI-PANDA, logging out.